leaders were viewed as people who sat on top of the hierarchical pyramid. Today, what we really need to have is a great woman theory. What are the theories? What are the characteristics of female leaders and how they have contributed to society? Leadership issues like transformational leadership, servant leadership, adaptive leadership, authenticity. So what is the difference between leadership and management? As a leadership scholar, I like to understand the history of leadership, what scholars thought of it back in the day, and how that thinking has shifted. In 1869, there was the great man theory. The great man theory basically said that if you were going to be a great leader, that meant that you were tall, white, male, handsome. All those were the traits of a leader. All those things that you are born with. You do not develop your tallness, or I should say, and they're also baritone, right? So you don't develop your tallness. You don't develop those things. You're born with them. And so the thinking was that those were the traits of people like that were the traits of leaders. Well, I really think that at least today, what we really need to have is a great woman theory. What are the theories? What are the characteristics of female leaders and how they have contributed to society? Let's go on. In the 20s, leadership was mostly talking about how to get people on an assembly line to work better, to be more committed, to get more whatever they were making or doing, making widgets to get them done. And leadership was really more concerned about things like that. And in the 30s and 40s, the interest evolved to understanding assembly lines, to understanding supply chains, and things of that nature. In the 50s, the first digital computer became something that was actually workable in the non-defense industry. There was a need to use that, to understand it, to program it, and have people who specialized in doing that. That led itself to the Industrial Revolution. No, it didn't. In the 60s, you had the advent of computing, and the information age happened. People were organized in more of a matrix or bureaucratic construct, and leaders were viewed as people who sat on top of the hierarchical pyramid. Well, today we look at leadership issues like transformational leadership, servant leadership, adaptive leadership, authenticity, and things like that. So what is the difference between leadership and management? A leader is someone who takes responsibility for finding potential in people, getting processes developed, and they have the courage to develop potential in themselves as well as others. They have keen sense of self-awareness. They are vulnerable and they have courage. So what do those traits look like? The leader is visionary. She that sets direction. She inspires and reaches long-range goals and objectives. While the manager, being as necessary as a leader, is a builder, creates processes, develops people, manages the status quo, and is interested in efficiency and effectiveness. So what are the major takeaways? What are the major characteristics of a leader that we want to remember? Leaders communicate. They are authentic. They help people make sense out of what's happening around them. And they give people the resources that they need. So some other traits of leaders is that they lead from the balcony, just like that conductor, perhaps. They regulate stress within themselves. They maintain attention. They pay attention. And they prevent their followers from being distracted.
If this episode sparks something for you, don't let it stop here. Subscribe to the Next Level Paycheck and join Linda Cureton every week to break the $80,000 ceiling with faith, strategy, and unstoppable confidence.